Hello, and welcome back to another World of Warships ship review. This time we're not just reviewing one ship, but we're actually reviewing the entire French destroyer hybrid line, the Cassard. They are hybrid gun / torp boats. They have very respectable gun power. Basically, they have like 3 of the Marceau turrets on it instead of 4. So roughly like a 4.5 to 5 second reload. They have very strong torps as well. I think they have one of the highest torp DPMs in the game. They are kind of a gimmicky torp, and the concept here is that the torpedoes deal their maximum damage on the Cassard at least out to 7 kilometers, I believe it is. And then from 7 kilometers out to 13.5 kilometers, they slowly lose damage. This entire tech tree line was recently buffed in the most recent update of World of Warships. Some of the new changes in the Cassard itself, the torps were improved so that their minimum damage that they deal at max range is increased. Before, if you were hitting a ship at its like max 13.5 range, it had pretty terrible damage per torp. It was only like 5,100, so it was kind of more like getting hit by a Jaeger torp. However, now they've increased the minimum damage that these torps deal at max range to something like 10,000 or 10,500 damage, and the damage drop off is a lot slower out to max range. So, in that way, even if you're firing at targets a long ways away, you can deal quite a bit more damage to them than you previously could. The torps, I believe, have a base, give or take, minute or 2-minute reload, I believe. So they do take a little bit of time. You have 4 triple torpedo launchers with 2 on each side. So you do kind of have to do a little bit of weaving back and forth if you want to get off all of those torps on a target. The torps move very quickly. I believe their base speed is 72 knots. So pretty easy to hit targets with them, even way out at 13 kilometers. In addition to that, the ship has the French armor scheme or the French damage saturation, where different parts of the ship get saturated really quickly, especially on the bow and stern, meaning that then you start taking less damage in those areas when you're hit. As you can see, we're spotted here, having trouble getting the lock on that destroyer there, kind of screwing up my shots. But there we go, we finally get the lock on, getting off some shots. Taking a lot of damage though. Doing a decent job at dodging here. But yeah, so one of the difficult things about this ship is that it does not get any smoke screen. So if you get caught out in the open like this, you're just kind of tough out of luck, not much that you can do, other than try to stop shooting and go dark. So it was absolutely imperative for us there that we went ahead and fled. That was not a good target for us to take on at that time. So we'll just kind of sit here. We're dark at the moment. We can just kind of rain some shells down. Even if we get spotted, we're far enough away that we can dodge some shots pretty easily. Our team took that one out. Kind of one of the other nice things about the Cassard is that even though it's got pretty slow speeds at baseline, you do get a very strong engine booster that boosts your speed 30%. And so while that's active, you have a very respectable top speed, and you can kind of juke pretty easily. So our speed boost is about to run out. Otherwise, you have kind of not the greatest anti-air, and you don't get like DFFA, so you'll struggle if a carrier decides to pick on you, especially since you don't have a smoke screen to withdraw into. No heals on this. You do get a pretty decent base health at above 20,000, so definitely can make that work pretty easily. But really, kind of the main benefits of this ship are that you have the very, very strong torps and also decently strong gun power. But overall, it's just kind of a kind of a very difficult ship to play since, you know, it's got a lot of raw power, but it doesn't really have any utility whatsoever. So you just got to be really careful with what engagements you take on. You got to be super careful not to get caught out in the open or accidentally roll around an island and get spotted by someone like 4 kilometers from you. So you just have to be really, really self-aware of where you're at, where your teammates are at, what's going on the map. So I would definitely say that of the destroyers in this game, this one has one of the higher skill floors. However, if you can make it work and you've got the skills to play it, you can definitely have some wild games in it. So we will end up doing pretty well on this match. Maybe it's my best match in this ship, I'm not sure. As for the other ships in the line, they're all pretty much kind of same gameplay. Starting at the tier 9 and down, in addition to getting the similar tort buffs like the Cassard got, they also got a gun reload buff, which is really nice. So it makes them a little bit more like a gunboat, just like the Cassard. I would say one of the downsides of this ship, other than, you know, not having any of the utility like the smoke screen and DFAA and stuff like that, that is kind of really difficult to play around, is that you have 6.1 kilometer detect range, which, you know, if you're like a heavy duty gunboat, you know, having above a 6 kilometer detect range is not a big deal, but considering how slow this ship is compared to something like a Marceau, and that it doesn't have nearly as much gun power as a Marceau would have, that 6.1 detect range is honestly pretty uncomfortable to play around, to say the least. So most of the time you want to stay well outside of that because you don't want to get caught within that 6 kilometer range, and you kind of just want to do what we're doing here and launch torps back and forth at different parts of the map and very carefully pick gun engagements when you can. As you can see, I'm choosing not to open up on this destroyer here, even though he's spotted. We did get a pretty good little kill there with our torps, but choosing not to shoot this destroyer because there were just, at the moment, too many ships in the area, and we would lose too much health in that engagement, especially since we can't, you know, go dark at the drop of a pin. So you just got to be really, really careful and wisely pick your engagements, and you know, try not to die in the first couple minutes of the match. So I do definitely on this ship recommend running the RPF skills so that you kind of get a heads up on where the closest enemy ship is at, or at least what direction they're in. It definitely helps you be self-aware and avoid getting too close to people. You do get a lot of spotting damage for your team in this ship. As you can see, we're already up over 100,000 in this match. Just, you know, since you don't have the option to hide behind a smoke screen, you end up kind of sitting out in the open. Most of the time, you know, your detect is good enough that you can still like sit a comfortable distance ahead of your team and spot for them. So you do get just a lot of spotting damage for your team. But yeah, so we've gotten a few torp hits this match. We've gotten 1 kill so far. Only 14 gun hits. Not much damage from those yet. We probably won't get a whole lot more damage this match. I don't quite remember. It's been like a week or so since I had this, or since I recorded this, but so that's kind of the Cassard for you. I would say that the line as a whole plays like pretty similar at all tiers. I wouldn't say there's like any ship in the tech line that's, you know, a dreadful experience to go through. I mean, kind of the whole tech line itself can be dreadful until you get the hang of how to play them and you get used to, you know, not having smokes and, you know, not being a full gun build boat, but also kind of a dual hybrid torp boat. It's just really awkward and different than a lot of other destroyers to learn how to play. So it definitely takes some getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, you can definitely get some pretty wild matches. You'll see here we'll land another torp on the nose of that ship there. Got a little flooding on him. He'll DCP though. So, but it's okay because we had more torps in the tubes ready to fire at him. Overall, I would definitely say that this line is worth researching. I definitely enjoy it, mostly in randoms. I wouldn't recommend that you take it into a competitive game mode like ranked. You can make it work, but really in ranked, if you're gonna be in a ship with no utility like this, you'd want something with a little bit better gun power that you can afford to, open water gunboat a little easier, which you can in this one. But if you're gonna open water gunboat, you really need to be kind of close to the max range of your guns, and you really also need that speed boost going if you want to be able to dodge shots, even at the max range of your guns. So there's a few different ways that you can build this. You can build it for a like 100% torp boat build. You can build it for kind of a hybrid build, build a little bit into torps, a little bit into guns, or you can build 100% into guns, and then you've still got very respectable torps. So I did opt for a 100% gun build. This is the same build that I have on my Marceau. So I don't think I am taking range on these guns, which is arguably kind of a good choice for Marceau, but I tend to play Marceau more like a DD hunter, so I go for the skill that whenever you're spotted, you get the 10% buff to your reload. So got that, got the other skill that gives you the 5% buff to your reload, got the buff to our health and adrenaline rush, and a few others. We'll go over the build at the very end. This Napoli here, as you can see, he's, kind of just sailing in a straight line. He's pretty, he's not super close to us either. We launched those torps, and, well, you'll see in the chat how it works out, but got the 1 kill, got 5 torp hits, still only the 14 gun hits, already up to 85,000 damage. We did get 1 cap, and there goes those torps, closing in. He's just sitting still, broadside, not moving, and there he goes. So 2 more torp hits, brought us over 100,000, almost up to 115,000 damage. 2 kills now, so 110,000 spotting damage. And there's that Napoli in the chat, just absolutely thrilled with the game, thrilled with the state of the game. Yeah, as if he didn't just sail forward and then sit broadside in a cap that he knew a destroyer was nearby. But anyways, we've got this match in the bag. Things are pretty much wrapped up. Not a whole lot else here other than to finish off the last enemy team. So yeah, I definitely 10 out of 10 would recommend this line, not as your first line. I'd say, I'd recommend researching like a couple other destroyer lines that are easier to play first, like the Gearing line, the Harugamo line, maybe Daring line. Some stuff like that that's a little more forgiving, because this tech tree line is definitely a little rough to play if you're not used to it. But as you can see, you can get some pretty awesome destroyer games in this once you kind of nail it down. So not a whole lot else to say about this. In other news, I hope everyone's 10th anniversary events are going well. I'll have a few more videos up on my channel coming up soon. I try to upload a couple times a week. A little difficult. I work full-time as a nurse, and I also am full-time grad student, so not a whole lot of free time on my plate. I also prefer to upload videos where I do at least respectably well in the battle. But yeah, if you guys are interested in any specific ship reviews, just let me know. I don't have, every ship in the game, but I've got probably about a third of them, give or take. So I'd love to review any ships you guys are interested in or give input. This match is wrapped up. Easy win for us. go ahead and go to the post credits, and then we'll kind of take a quick peek at the captain ship build, but not a whole lot too interesting going on there. As you can see, we did pull off 2100 base XP. Pretty good. Not too bad. The rest of our team did very respectable too, especially the following 4 players behind us. That Napoli man, he was pissed in the chat, but what can you say? Sounds like a skill issue. Fast forwarding a little bit here. This is the Cassard and port. Just kind of showing you those torpedoes there. Nothing too special on the guns. Like I said, basically 3 of the Marceau turrets. It does actually have okay depth charges. Its speed, as you can see, is only the 34 knots, which is a little painful when you don't have the speed boost up. Speed boost definitely, gets you up over 40, so that's nice. But as you can see, a pretty standard build here. Kind of the only controversial thing is that I'm running the main battery reload instead of the torp tube reload. Honestly, even on like dedicated torp build ships, I'm just so hesitant to take the torpedo tube modification. Maybe now that they changed it so that torpedo tubes aren't permanently destroyed, maybe I'd be more willing to try that in the future, but at least in the past, that was like such a heavy hit to, get that minus 50% chance of your torpedo tubes getting destroyed and then losing them for the match when your whole point is to be torp build. So, like I said, lots of different builds that you can do for this. This is my setup that I've got going here. You can do a full torp build if you want. You can do a kind of mix between different things. If you don't want to be like hunting down destroyers, you don't have to take RPF, but honestly, since there's a lot of destroyers in the game that outspot you, it is just a lot more comfortable to have RPF on this ship, especially since the punishment for getting spotted is so much higher since you can't just flee behind smoke. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.